Something that's really standing out for me these days is how the belief that my suffering is unique is really one of the things that stands in the way of connection. And it has this paradox in it, because in some way it's true. Mine or your suffering is unique. Like, we all have our individual life stories, and they contain, well, various kinds of suffering, pain, strife. And those are particular to us. But then on the other hand, it also seems true that everyone is suffering in their own unique way. And that there is like a commonality to it. It's like, well, it's the human condition in some way. We are suffering. It is painful in many ways to be human. And it holds such a great potential for meeting each other. But there's this thing that we, or at least I, do, where it's like I contract around my suffering. It's like I start believing that it's special to me and that no one will actually be able to understand it because it's so me, I'm so identified with it. And the more I contract around it and hold it in that way, the more difficult it becomes to actually see other people and be with other people. And then I find that what these connection practices actually do for me and for others quite a lot is that there's a release around that tension. So it's like, oh, maybe I can reveal a bit of how I am suffering. And then what often happens is that someone else will go like, oh yeah, I know that. It's very similar to how I'm suffering. And in that way it transforms like what used to be like my suffering that I need to hold for myself actually becomes a gift to the world and an opening for love and connection. And I just find that so so amazingly beautiful, that it's like this thing that can really fuck up my life and really make me feel lonely and desperate and just so disconnected from everything. It's actually also the means for connection. Like when I bring it forth, it's like, okay. It seems to be a very human thing that I'm doing here. It's not me being wrong. It's just something that we all seem to be doing. And I notice that for myself, when I hold this perspective of, oh, everyone is actually struggling or suffering in some way, that I walk around the world, in the world, with so much more ease than when I hold the perspective that I am unique in my struggle and my suffering. And I guess there's two ways to work with this. One is like, is working on self-love, and it's like, oh, can I hold myself in this? But actually the path that I've found to be the most useful for me is like kindness and compassion towards others, to really be with others and really see that they are suffering and just welcome that as much as I'm welcoming everything else in them. Just allowing that perspective that, oh yeah, of course you're suffering. Like, and yeah, of course you're pretending to not be suffering. That's what we're all doing. And yeah, I find that way of being with others really supports me also in being softer in the world, feeling more connected.